Hello, everyone. And first here at 5 o'clock, a look inside our homeless crisis. A new report shows a certain sector of homelessness has dropped in several counties in the Portland metro area. Thanks for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko. That, of course, is the good news, though. The latest point-in-time count shows that more than 7,400 people are still living on the streets in Multnomah, Clackamas, and Washington counties. So let's bring in Mike Benner downtown. Mike, what stands out to you?
You know, David, a lot stands out, but we'll start in Multnomah County because we're in Portland. You'll notice some people living on the streets here behind me. These are some of the more than 6,200 people living on the streets in Multnomah County. That is more than the number of people on the streets at this time last year. But I can tell you it's not all doom and gloom. The homeless numbers in both Clackamas and Washington counties are dropping.
While it may not rise to crisis level like it does in Portland, take one look around Washington County and it's clear there are people living on the streets.
The people experiencing homelessness in our community are really going through some of the most tough times in their lives. And we are standing up new programs, and we are, really working to make it such that homelessness is a brief and rare experience.
And for proof, look no further than the federally mandated point-in-time count conducted in late January. It found approximately 770 people living on the streets in Washington County, a 4% drop compared to last year.
The programs that we've worked really hard in Washington County to launch over the last couple of years have really started to be effective.
That includes hundreds of new shelter beds, not to mention housing for even more houseless individuals.
The people in our community who are experiencing homelessness are our neighbors. They're a part of our community.
Vahid Brown is the Deputy Director of Housing and Community Development in Clackamas County, where the point-in-time count showed approximately 400 people living on the streets, a 31% drop compared to 2022.
I mean, it's really encouraging.
Brown says, among other things, the Supportive Housing Services measure, passed a few years ago, has helped a great deal.
The Supportive Housing Services measure has allowed us to increase the rate and pace of moving folks into permanent housing, 10 times over what we were able to achieve prior to this new funding.
Meanwhile, in Multnomah County, there are more than 6,200 people experiencing homelessness. That's more than the year prior, but officials say it's because of improved data collection. Regardless, one thing is clear.
There's more work to be done.
Back in Washington County, that entails opening new shelters and launching new programs like rapid rehousing.
And it's really targeted at folks who have just kind of slipped into homelessness for kind of a temporary period of time, or are in sort of an unstable housing situation, to kind of help stabilize them and make sure that they're not experiencing homelessness for a prolonged period of time.
All right, I do want to pass along some data involving the chronically homeless. These are people who have reported lengthy spells of homelessness and a disabling condition. I can tell you that the number of chronically homeless in the Tri-County area is down 17% compared to this time last year. Back to you.
Good to see a little bit of progress there. Thank you, Mike. We are getting ready for some potentially record-breaking heat with temperatures set to soar into the 90s. Some spots are not wasting any time. Both the Canby and Clackamas Fire District announced they are temporarily banning backyard burns. And that starts tomorrow and lasts through at least Monday. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino. So, Matt, when it comes to the heat, any changes at all in the forecast?
Not really, David. It's still going to be hot with the hottest weather peaking this weekend. And as far as the burning goes, you may think, hey, we've had a ton of rain, everything's good. Things dry out super quickly, especially when the temperature goes up and the humidity goes down the way it already is doing. We're in the 70s right now, 76 out at the Reserve Golf Course. Beautiful looks, just some scattered fair weather cumulus clouds out there. So here are the headlines for this heat wave and this hot spell. The hottest days, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And I think that Mother's Day, that's when it'll be the hottest. That's when the heat will really pour on. We'll still be in the 80s, though, even after Monday. So this isn't just 3 days and then it's over. It won't be as hot as we go into next week, but it's still going to be very warm. Temperatures in the 80s now for several days to come. So there is a lot of warm weather coming at us. The coast, Saturday and Sunday, will even be in the 80s and possibly some 90s even at the beaches. So kind of a classic northwest heat wave, happens to coincide with Mother's Day weekend. So look for about 95 degrees on Mother's Day itself in Portland. You're going to feel that. It's going to be a little breezy with the east wind, and it's going to be very low humidity as well. So make sure you hydrate both you, your pets, and of course, mom. We'll have more on the heat wave a bit later, guys.
Our all-important moms. Thank you, Matt. Matt's delivered the warning here, and the real heat is close at hand. And with it hitting right over Mother's Day weekend, there will be a lot of folks looking for a way to cool off like that. Tim Gordon's down at Portland's Waterfront Park. Tim, the fountain there is a really good, safe way to get wet, but there's a big swimming danger right now.
Yeah, right, Laurel. Nothing wrong with Salmon Street Springs, right? There it is. The water's running well. But out there on our rivers and our lakes, the water is very cold, and the risk of having it take your breath away is very high. In fact, the water temp is down around 50 degrees, or maybe a little colder too, on the Clackamas and Willamette, Columbia rivers, in all of our favorite spots to get wet. We know places like High Rocks are popular when conditions are better, but first responders warn now is not the time to take a dip, no matter how hot you are this weekend. Not only is the water cold,
it may not be what you or your kids want to wear, but if you're going to be in the water, right, this is what's going to save your life. Every year we seem to have tragedies in Oregon early season with drownings, and we really want to prevent that.
As for boaters, be responsible for yourself and your passengers. Don't operate a boat impaired, and be sure you have all the safety equipment on board. Then follow the rules of the river. Best bet this weekend, places like Salmon Street Springs. Other places have their fountains going too. And if you're going to be outside, though, be aware of just that heat. Stay hydrated, find some shade, take care of yourself, and watch out for your kids and others who might be vulnerable to this big heat we've got coming. Laurel, back to you.
Good advice, Tim. I was out in the Willamette this morning, and advice, life jacket, life jacket, life jacket. You cannot say it enough. Thank you, Tim. One person is dead after a crash this afternoon in southeast Portland. This is at Duke and 72nd, a few blocks south of Mount Scott Park. Police say a car and a tow truck collided. The driver of the car died. The tow truck driver suffered serious injuries. Portland Police major crash team is investigating. Drivers can expect ongoing closures in that area.
Today, police identified 2 men killed in a commercial area in the Multnomah neighborhood. The deadly shooting happened in a parking lot off Barber Boulevard on May 3rd. Police say the victims are brothers, Dirjabal and Girikabal Singh. They were 33 and 27 years old. Police say the shooter is 21-year-old Jobanpreet Singh. He has been arrested. The suspect and the victims are not related. Police haven't released a motive, but witnesses told us they heard some sort of argument leading up to the shooting.
Well, to developments out of Salem with a potential sign of progress on today, day 9 of the Senate Republican walkout. Now, both parties have agreed to suspend further floor sessions until Monday. That will avoid triggering a new law that prevents any lawmaker with 10 or more unexcused absences from running for re-election. By the way, some Republicans say they plan to challenge that law. Now, it's unclear if this is just kicking the can or Democrats and Republicans think they can reach some sort of agreement over the weekend.
Today, Washington State lifted COVID vaccine mandates for state employees. Governor Inslee first issued that order in October of 2021. He says the mandate played a key role in making state workers and their communities safer. Health experts seem to agree.
It's clear in retrospect that many of the public health measures put in place were absolutely necessary, absolutely effective. We would still be in a pandemic situation had they not been in place.
About 2,000 state workers quit or were fired over that mandate. Those who left voluntarily can reapply, but the governor says they won't get any special consideration. Nationally, the COVID public health emergency in the U.S. is also ending today. Let's change gears and head to downtown, and that's where our Pat Doris joins us now live.
Yeah, Pat, you and the story are coming to us this evening from Pioneer Courthouse Square. Give us a little glimpse of what you've been working on.
Well, David, we're talking about what's the current state of downtown Portland and what its future just might be. I had a chance to walk and talk with City Commissioner Dan Ryan earlier this week, got his vision on how things are changing now in our city and where they need to be. He told me that he feels safe in the city, but the reason why he feels safe, well, that might surprise you. It certainly did me. We'll also take a look at how downtown's reputation is hurting some in the arts world. I've heard from a lot of viewers who say they're never coming back downtown again because they think that it's not safe, that it's dangerous, in fact. But for arts organizations who rely on patrons who come from some of the suburbs, that's a real problem. So we'll hear from them directly what their concerns are. We'll also ask the question of whether Portland maybe has hit the bottom and is starting to come back up. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? We'll have all that and more tonight at 6. I hope you'll watch.
Yeah, so much to talk about, so much to watch. Thank you, Pat. Looking forward to it.